South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show. Every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
We're here. Welcome in at Sports by the Book here at the South Point studio. I'm Jeff Parles. April 2nd. Full swing baseball. Down the stretch they come in the NBA and the NHL. Legitimately down the stretch in college hoops. Down to the Final Four and the CBC semifinals or quarterfinals, whatever round we're in now, and the NIT final. So plenty to get to here today, Alex and Kenny.
Yes. Good morning, Jeff.
Good morning. Morning.
Good morning.
This is you like our new little our new old look. You got we get to see everybody at once. It's really good. But you get to see just us here at home. That's all that truly matters. So let's go into it quickly. Last night, Kenny, Alex, NIT. We did get home on UC Irvine. At least I did. I don't know what you guys ended up playing yesterday, but that was one I gave out yesterday. Irvine plus 105 money line. They get there, and then Chattanooga. Credit to them. They really controlled that game and end up winning by 7 in what was pretty wild score fest at the end of that game, Alex.
So that first one, I believe you were on the under. I was on the under as well, so that one hurt. But yeah. UC Irvine, impressive comeback, because to start that game, it was really all North Texas. But we've talked about them throughout the entire year, so happy to see them move on to the championship.
Yeah, the first score I saw was 9-0, 5 minutes into the game. And the in-game total was down to 118.5, went under 129.5. And then Irvine started to make their way back into it, and it was 30-30 at the half, and the halftime, the new in-game on the halftime was 129.5. And I said, well, they were right on the number, but you know what? I'm glad it's not a 10-point game. I'm glad it's a close game. That's what I wanted.
Could bog down.
And the second half started out exactly the way I wanted it to. They scored 6 points in the first 7 minutes of the second half, and the in-game total was 112.5. And then, obviously, I knew they had to start scoring, and they started scoring after that. But it was on 100 with 3 minutes to go, something like that, or 4 minutes to go. It was a dead under, and each team started hitting shots. And then with about a minute to go, there was a 4-point lead, and they started fouling, and that's what you get, in games like that. I always talk about that. And I made that my biggest play of the year so far. I had a 5% play on that under. I made it 110, and I would bet it again tomorrow for the same thing. But I always say in betting and money management, it's very important. I won my last 8 straight bets yesterday after that loss. So I still made 3% on my bankroll for losing that game. It sucks to be 8-1. I should have been 9-0, I think, or at least won that game and lost another game. But that's just the way it goes. And that's why I always tell people, you still got to bet your smaller bets that you like because they win as well. I mentioned that in when the FBS football championship started, Jeff. I destroyed it all year. All year, I had differences of 8 to 10, 12-point differences in the betting line. And when the playoffs started, I looked at the line and I was like, wow, boy, they got sharper. Everything was 2.5, 3 points off. And I just made all, small bets on every game. I won 18-0 in the playoffs. I didn't lose one game in the playoffs, 18-0. But every bet was only a small difference, 2.5, 3 points. I had no drastic differences on sides or totals. It was just so happened I got lucky that those games started to fall.
I was not so fortunate because I actually had that under tied up with a few other parlays, Tennessee and Houston from the other day, and then
I'm not betting parlays.
And then I was very excited, so I did it again with Houston and Duke coming up here. But yes,
that was
Round Robins
that was
too,
a good bet. So. Yeah, well, the books want parlays,
yes.
But it seems like I do a lot of parlays too. I do round robins, but now the European invasion will not allow you to make a round robin with the same side and total in it. So let's do a round robin, but you can only have one or the other. You can't put the side and total in a game in your round robins.
No correlation.
No correlation, right? Yeah.
Well, if you're laying, like last night, if I wanted Irvine minus 1.5 and under, there's no correlation there.
Yeah.
I mean, if it was, taking 10.5 and going under 130, I see correlation with that to dog and under in a big parlay, but not on a pick 'em type of game. There's no correlation there.
All right, let's go to some baseball that's going to get going in the next 5 minutes. So let's get it before they get going, and we start with a rubber match in Milwaukee. Brewers really struggling to pitch in those first few games, Yankee Stadium, and in the first one at home. They find a way yesterday, throw a shutout. They win 5-0. Christian Yelich with Kelty yesterday, and good-looking home run in that 5-0 win. Rubber match here. It's the Aces, Dragons, and Peralta in this one. A total of 7.5. Behind us here at the South Point Brew Crew, $1.20 favorites, plus 105 on a take back on Kansas City, Alex.
Well, you said it. The Aces going today, Cole Reagans and Freddie Peralta. So I did go under for a small price on this one, under that 7.5.
Freddie Peralta's got amazing stuff. So and Reagans is really good too. These are two really good pitchers. I haven't looked yet to see if the roof will be open or closed in Miller Park.
I believe closed.
I would think, because I was just looking, well, yeah, it's going to be closed. At 40 degrees, rain and wind today.
Yeah, I'd say it's closed.
It's going to be closed. So I like under. Give me under for the first 5 innings. I'm going to say it's 1-0 after 5.
Kenny, is that a common thing? Because I know some retractable roof stadiums, Arizona is very well known for being a hitter's haven when the roof is open, and it's much better for the pitchers. I mean, Randy Johnson did the famous story of the roof was open for 2 innings. Johnson gives up a home run in the first inning. Game lands 1-0, and basically breaks everything in the locker room after the game because they had the roof open for the first 2 innings. But is that a common theme with a lot of these retractable roofs, that it is just a totally different ballpark feel for what you have to bet when the roof is open?
No doubt about it. Yes. The roof open in all of these ballparks, the ball carries much better. And it's about a 1.5 difference per game, like a quarter of a run for each team. So, yeah, it definitely carries better, and roof's closed. And now, I guess each ballpark's a little differently, because I don't know if you remember the Metrodome in Minneapolis.
Sure.
The Twins.
Yeah.
Well, they had an air conditioning system.
Well, that was the Homer Dome.
And there was the Homer Dome because the air conditioning system was behind home plate and blew out to center field. And they could control it when they were hitting and when they weren't hitting. And a lot of teams didn't know that for the longest time. They couldn't figure out, why are the Twins so good at home? Because the wind was at their back.
It's great.
Yeah.
Love the fun baseball stories through the years on that. But again, Brew Crew, $1.20 favorites at home. The under is the look here in this one.
And that's starting here very soon.
Yeah.
You do want to jump in on that under.
Yeah, it's starting in 2 minutes. And we'll quick hit the
While
other
you
one.
guys talking, I'll go bet it.
Yeah, we'll quick hit the other one that's starting in 2 minutes. It's Paul Skeen's day for the Pirates, who really just look dreadful so far in the early goings. Ryan Pepio will get the start for the Rays. Again, all of Tampa's home games being played outdoors this year at Steinbrenner Field, while Tropicana Field is still under renovation. Pittsburgh actually opened a bigger favorite in this game. It's been bet mostly on Tampa through the day, but I almost said the Penguins. That would have been something. The Pirates, minus 110, Rays minus 105, total 7 for this one in Tampa Bay.
The Rays actually pretty impressive at that field too. 4-1 so far on the year and at home. And then you brought it up about the Pirates. Really just the offense and then the bullpen has just been killing them. I would only look at first 5 with Paul Skeens here, or even potentially the under, keeping this a low-scoring game. Rays are going for the sweep here, and pretty drastic. 6-1 in the first game and 7-0 yesterday.
Pepio's got good stuff. Great first outing for him, too. We know Paul Skeens. I've got him the highest rated pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I have him, I think I have him almost 25 cents better to the betting line than any other pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's that good. So, again, but I've talked about it last week before the season started. They talk about mid-season form. And that's because you work your way into that. So none of these guys are in mid-season form. So you don't know what you're going to get, kind of outing to outing with these guys. One day they'll be on, the next game they may be off. So you got to kind of predict that a little bit. The stadium they're playing in, Jeff mentioned, much better hitting conditions. They're outdoors, minor league park. I think the ball will carry better there. It doesn't carry really well in Florida because it's low elevation. They're a very low elevation. The ball doesn't carry at low elevation, but it is humid, and the ball carries better in humidity. So the Metrodome, where the Rays played, I think my number was like 7.5, 7.75 in that range. This ballpark they're playing in is about a 9. So you're going to see better hitting stats for the Rays hitters, and you're going to see a little weaker pitching staffs out of them.
The Rays have always found ways to win games with lesser talent. Again, this is a different look. Like you said, Kenny, the pitching won't be as good throughout the year.
The one thing I've noticed, Jeff, is this organization is tremendous with developing players. They have been for such a long time, and I got a chance to know that because some of the kids that I coached at Bishop Gorman were drafted by the Rays, and I saw what they were doing in their organization, and I saw what other organizations were doing. I said, well, the Cardinals and Rays are the best, but a change in baseball happened a couple of years ago that there was a lawsuit against Major League Baseball that they were paying their minor league players less than minimum wage. The players won the lawsuit. The teams had to come up with millions and millions of dollars in back pay to pay all the players in their organization of the money that was owed to those players in that class action lawsuit. They, in turn, had said, we can't afford minimum wage for 6 minor league baseball teams. We're going to do away with 3 of them. So now teams only have 75 players to develop in their organization instead of 150 to 200 players. And that could hurt teams like the Rays and the Cardinals that really do develop players. And I think we're already seeing a shift with that out of the Rays. They weren't very good last year, and I don't think they're expected to do well this year.
Projected 4th in that American League East. Again, that is one of the better divisions in Major League Baseball. All right, last one of these early ones that are just getting underway. The Cardinals, see how we go full circle here. St. Louis, after sweeping Minnesota, has lost the first 2 in extra innings, both of the first 2 games against the Angels, when the Angels are off to a 5-1 start. Who had that? Now, granted, they played the White Sox the first series, so take advantage of that, win 2 out of 3. But here today, the Angels, Alex, will throw their opening day starter, Yusei Kikuchi. Cardinals have their opener with Sonny Gray here today. 8.5. Cardinals $1.45 favorites with a plus 130 take back on the Angels in this one.
Really don't know what we're going to get from Sonny Gray in this start. So I think that this number is a little bit steep on him. I lean to the Angels and the hotter team keeping it going here. And I do think Kikuchi is a pretty good pitcher. Did well last year. So yeah, just a lean to the Angels. No strong play in this one.
One thing I've noticed about UC Kikuchi, who does have really good stuff, but he is 33 years old now. I'm trying to find the splits because he has been so much better in his career at home than he has been on the road. Looking at a couple numbers here. The ERA is pretty close now, 4.4 at home, 4.74 on the road. This is in his career. He actually has a losing record in his home start. So this is when he was with Seattle in his first couple of years. But then I did notice it at Toronto. He was the same way. 9.8 strikeouts to 8.8 on the road. That is, a little bit better. Walk to strikeout ratio is far better at home than it is on the road. So I think he's a little better in his home starts than his away starts. He's getting closer. He's closed the gap. He was about 50-cent difference home and away years ago, but it looks like he's closed that gap a little bit.
Moving along to the next game on the board, we go to the American League side of things. Quick hitter in Chicago. Twins finally get on the board for the year. They have a nice comeback. They end up winning comfortably last night against the White Sox. Opening day starters again, Pablo Lopez and Sean Burke. Your pitching matchup, Lopez and the Twins minus 180, plus 160 on the takeback for the White Sox. Total of 7 here, Alex.
Did you switch it up? You put the National League at the end because of time?
Yes.
We're not going off a rotation order?
No, that's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
you got to let me know. I make my notes off a rotation order. But looking here, getting to the Twins and the White Sox, going down the board. You want to start it?
I made Minnesota. I made Lopez $2, and I didn't hear if you said the line, but I'm sure it's a lot higher.
$1.80, actually less.
$1.80. Well,
$1.80. That's still not a big enough difference, right?
Yeah, not for me. I like at least a 25-cent difference, and when it gets that high, I kind of like a little even bigger difference. But Burke pitched well. He was the shining star of the White Sox right now. But I do like Lopez. He's got really good stuff. I thought that was a really good pickup by the Twins.
Burke was awesome on opening day, and again, guy had really good stuff. Went 6 innings, 3 hits, no walks, 3 strikeouts, effective. White Sox have been missing that. Again, the White Sox, as I made the joke on Punchlines yesterday, have already exceeded their win total from all of last year, but not quite. But again, this is looked a little bit better for the White Sox. Now, granted, they're 2-3, but they at least have looked in a semblance of a Major League Baseball team through 5 games.
Well, yeah, them and the Marlins, right?
Yes.
So it has been pretty impressive. But, we always say it, they're professional athletes, right? And sometimes we have such low expectations.
Yeah, I think the only thing you have to worry about is experience. And these bad teams don't have a lot of experience. They've got a lot of inexperienced players. So you got to make sure of that if they've been in the big leagues 2 years, I'm trusting them then. But if they're playing a bunch of young guys who've never been in the big leagues, it takes a while to get used to it, to slow the game down. The game's extremely fast when you're inexperienced.
Going to Pacific Northwest next, Seattle and Detroit, great pitching matchup. Skubal and Castillo. Skubal ended up losing on opening day, gave up that homer to Teoscar Hernandez with 2 outs in the 5th. That really derailed things for Detroit that day. Seattle has Castillo. Right now, Skubal's actually road favorite in this one, minus 125 on Detroit, plus 110 on the takeback. On Seattle, 6.5 to total. I think the Tigers are just thrilled not to see the Dodgers,
right?
Because it's looked a lot better the last 2 days with back-to-back wins up at T-Mobile Park.
That's right, going for the sweep here against the Mariners. I would lean to that side with Skubal because, as you mentioned, he did get hit by the Dodgers, but the Dodgers have been on fire as expected. 6 hits in 5 innings pitched, 2 strikeouts. So I think we'll see a better outing here from him. Castillo, good as well, just 3 hits on 5 innings pitched against the Athletics. So I think that number's just right. I wish I could go under. Maybe going under in the first 5.
Yeah, Castillo's getting up there in age, and his last 2 years, he's declined 4 straight years in a row now. It was amazing. I think it was like 2019 was the year. He was an all-star that year. You could just bet, as soon as the line came out, just bet him because the line was moving 30 to 40 cents on his games every single time he pitched. And everybody knew, all the sharp bettors knew this guy had great stuff. But I think he's on the declining with 4 straight years now that he has had weaker numbers each year. And last year, highest number since his rookie year, 3.64 ERA. Strikeouts are down a little bit, and we'll see. Well, he's still good. I just don't think he's as great as he was.
I'll just go with this on the Seattle front, where we talked about ballpark factors earlier. This ballpark's horrendous for hitters, regardless if the roof is open or not.
Yes.
And I actually watched a little bit over the weekend just to get a little sense of all these teams. There were more demonstrative reactions from Seattle hitters on fly balls that they thought they probably got all of and ended up being routine outs. For that to be happening the first weekend of the season, that is not that is not a good sign moving forward for a Seattle team that is, look, we know what they've been for years. Amazing starting pitching, good enough bullpen, lineup that is not produced enough in part because of the ballpark factor.
No doubt about it. And I do like what you guys said about Skubal. Give him a break. He faced the Dodgers, right now best offensive team in baseball by far. So this guy's got great stuff. I would lean to him to that. I just think he's the better pitcher out of the two right now, and I think Detroit is an organization that's playing better. Seattle last year fired their manager, who all the players loved and was actually doing a good job, but they used him as the scapegoat. Just Seattle's trying to figure it out. Last year I bet him to win the AL, bet him to win the World Series. I thought they had the best rotation in baseball. And again, I think they do this year. I haven't bet him yet because I just think there's something wrong with the organization.
Too early to add anything in, right, for the team trying to avoid a sweep?
Well, for a sweep between, I always like to add in 25 cents for a team trying to avoid the sweep, yeah. Especially, if they're on the road, they may not go out that night. They may stay in that night because they lost 2 in a row, and they know they need to win the third one to get out of there without getting swept. But sweeps happen, though.
Yeah, and that's what I was thinking. I mean, that team's really motivated this early on to try and finish out that series.
Well, there's a lot of excitement. The season just started. It's they're playing in big ballparks and big league parks now, and that excitement wears off after a couple months, but. The players are getting better. They're like I said, mid-season form at that point.
Going to Baltimore next. The Red Sox and the Orioles. Rough start for Rafael Devers, to put it politely, so far. But again, these are the teams that I thought were the 2 top teams going into the year in the AL East. Eflin and Crochet, who just got rewarded with a big contract extension yesterday. Minus 115 right now on Boston, even on Baltimore. Total's gone down from 8 to 7.5 here.
I think this number is too short on Boston. I think this could be a good get-right spot. Orioles did take the first game yesterday, 8-5, and now you got Garrett Crochet on the mound. So I think that minus 115 here at the South Point, I'm going to add that to my board. I think that's a good bet.
2 of the most talented pitchers in baseball today, Skeens and Crochet. Both teams are on a 4-game losing streak. So these guys are the aces of the staff. And when you're the ace of the staff, you're expected to break that losing streak. So I think you'll get a good effort out of both guys. You mentioned Rafael Devers. He wasn't very pleased that he lost his third base job, and he's taken that into the season. So you see it all the time in baseball. You see guys take their bats out into the field. You saw with De La Cruz for the Reds. He did it all last year. Every time he struck out at the plate, he went out to the field and made an error. And that's experience, learning how to play the game and being able to separate offense and defense. So Crochet, though, really good stuff. Great pickup by the Red Sox. Great contract for him, and I think you see him. I think he'll have a great effort tonight. Doesn't mean he wins, because it could be maybe Eflin throws a great game too. So, but I think you're right. I think it's a little short on the Red Sox price.
Want to go north of the border next? Washington and Toronto would have been the old Canada series back way in the day. Mackenzie Gore and Lucas, your pitching matchup here. Total 8.5. This is bounced all over the place. Washington actually opened a road favorite here, minus 125. Now Toronto has been bet to the favorite of minus 110. Total from 8.5 to 8. Now back to 8.5, Alex.
I'm really not familiar with Easton Lucas. I don't know if you looked him up and found any information on him. So I do think Mackenzie Gore is the better pitcher coming into this one. Think the line's just right, and I understand the move back and forth. So nothing for me. This was an automatic pass.
Yeah, Lucas, he's an opener. He's a relief pitcher. So he's going to go a couple innings, I think, at best in this game, and then they'll turn it over. Don't know what happened about Gausman, because he was scheduled to go first. So not sure if he's going to piggyback. They're going to go with the lefty to start and then come in. But I'll tell you what. The other side, I do know one thing, that was anybody as good as Mackenzie Gore was in his first start. He was
pretty darn good.
Best I've seen in anybody in baseball, and he's got really good stuff. This kid's got great stuff. So a lot of times after performances like what he just had, you usually have the flat game coming up next. I hope it's not true. I hope he throws another great game, but it's hard to do. It's hard to throw games like that. Your stuff was just on, and it's hard to have that A+ stuff game in and game out.
I got another ballpark factor question coming up in the next game for you guys. And I brought this up at length yesterday, and the game went over again for the second consecutive day in Sacramento. The A's and the Cubs, obviously, Mondays was absurd with how many runs there were, but yesterday was a 7-4 game, and it really was not a sweat at any point to get that game over the 8 because it happened early in the game. Now you got Tyone and Springs. Springs is coming off a dominant start in Seattle against the Mariners on opening day. Tyone got walloped in Arizona last weekend. This total is only 8.5 again. South Point has juice on the over. Some places have juice on the under. So shop around and find the best 8.5 you can if you like it, over or under, regardless. But here you go. We know that Alex, Kenny, you guys are both very familiar with the Pacific Coast League. Our buddy Matt Nevert has on this desk said in the past, like, hey, guy could get promoted with a 4.75 ERA, and he actually pitched pretty darn well in the Pacific Coast League. This is a Pacific Coast League ballpark in Sacramento. Do we start seeing adjustments? I know it's only been 3 games after today. Do we start seeing ballpark factor adjustments with this being a PCL thing where we might just see, I don't want to say Colorado-like totals, but higher totals than you would expect because of the way this ballpark may play?
If you were pitching for the Aviators or the Albuquerque Dodgers or the Isotopes, or even Oklahoma City's got a pretty good hitters ballpark. If you had an ERA of 6, you might be a really good pitcher. You never know. This ballpark is one of the better AAA pitcher ballparks. Okay. This is a good pitcher ballpark. The reason why you've gotten runs the last 2 days is the wind has been gusting out to right center field. That's going to add on at least a couple runs to that ballpark, maybe more, and depending on what pitchers you get in those type of games too. So it is a much better hitter's park than the Oakland Coliseum is.
Sure.
Because the Coliseum was notorious for the huge foul territory. More than any other park in the league, it was just balls that should have been in the stands were outs in that ballpark, and the ball didn't carry well there either. The ball doesn't carry really well here in Sacramento either, but when the wind's blowing out to center field, it will carry. So I think this ballpark is about an 8.5, 9 on average. You're going to get that many runs per game.
Well, when Jeff brought it up yesterday, and I was watching the show, I did think it was a good point. And thinking about even what the Aviators' typical total is set at, and it's like 13.5 to 15.5.
Yeah.
So maybe a small adjustment up from there. Because where we're sitting right now, I'm saying that 8.5. Maybe we're going to meet somewhere in the middle, like 10.5.
For which ballpark?
For Sacramento.
For Sacramento. Or you really think it's just wind? Right now.
Yeah. I know. I've got a sample size of over 1,000 games played in that ballpark by Sacramento.
So these first 2 days have really just been because the climate so than.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
You know how windy it's been here in Vegas. It's been that windy in California too. So I'm betting college games as well. But I'm also following these the AAA games, but this is more of a pitcher park. It's not going to go. You're not going to see 10s and 10.5s in this ballpark.
Okay.
If you are, I'm going under. Because it's just not. It's not a hitter's ballpark. It's a pitcher's park. So, so you'll see in the long run. Now, the Vegas park is at 13.5.
Right.
Because we're high elevation and we do get a lot of wind. But without the wind, it's about a 13.5. The Vegas ballpark. But you know what? Everything goes in trends. There was 10 straight unders last year at the ballpark. 10 straight Aviator games went under, and some of those games the wind was blowing straight out to center field 20 miles an hour.
Yeah.
And it still went under. You still got to hit the ball even though the wind's blowing.
Moving, by the way, A's small favorite in this game, minus 115 against the Cubs. That one's bounced around as well. All right, we go to Houston next. Valdez, Framber pitched well enough on opening day in a victory. Roop will get the start for the Giants. Alex, $1.65, now up to $1.70 here at the South Point, with a total of 7.5 on this one.
I did think it was pretty impressive that Root beat out Hayden Birdsong, because I thought he did a good job last year. But I still do think Framber Valdez is the better pitcher going today. Houston trying to avoid that sweep. Giants won 7-2 and then 3-1, a tight one yesterday. So lean to the Astros. I'm just not really interested in laying any big numbers yet with these early games in baseball.
Yeah, I agree. I don't really want to lay prices this early in the season again. Valdez does have really good stuff. Astros trying to, avoid the sweep at home. So there is some incentive for them to, make sure that they're ready and focused to play today. And I think they're the better team, but I'm not betting it.
Before we go to the next game, because we have a different setup today, we have to at least tell you the trivia question. No guesses yet, Kenny.
Okay.
Who are the only two people, period, to participate in both a NCAA Men's Final Four and a World Series? There are only two players that have ever done that. Ryan asked me this question the other day. I got the first one pretty quickly. The second one may have taken me a year and a half, 2 years to figure it out. So chat away in the chat with your answers. I got two of them. One was in the 70s, and then the other one was in the 80s. So that's the hints I can give you here today. All right, we go to San Diego next.
I got the 80s guy, but
the 80s.
Yeah,
I got the 80s guy quickly, too. The 70s one? Tough, very tough, to say the very least. All right, Cleveland and San Diego. Lively and Cease in this one. Padres are 6-0. What a start for San Diego, and it's not like they beat in bed, like bottom feeders. They swept Atlanta 4 straight. Cleveland, even though regression was expected by some, still a reasonable team, have taken the first 6 at home. Cease is a $2 favorite in this one, Alex. Total 7.5, plus 180 if you want Cleveland to snap the 6-game losing streak here today.
I don't want to get in front of the Padres. I would only lean that way, especially I really like Dylan Cease. I think he is a good pitcher, and he didn't have the best first outing, so I think we'll see an improvement even here today. But it is pretty impressive. Padres 14-2 in the last 2 games here against the Guardians.
I like both pitchers. Both really. I think Cease has got tremendous stuff. Can you imagine the White Sox with a 1-2 punch of Cease and Crochet? Just amazing that they could trade these guys away. Now, San Diego, obviously, this ballpark, really good pitchers ballpark. Weather is 60 degrees today. Be windy, but wind really doesn't affect play a whole lot in that ballpark. I think you can see a little bit of a pitcher's duel here. I don't like the Guardians' offense. I think they're a rather below-average offense. And with these two really good pitchers, this might be a first 5 innings under for me as well.
Going next to the Bronx, going to be cold in New York here today. Low 40s for this one between the Yankees and the Diamondbacks. Gallen and Rodon. This total 7.5 behind us now, even in Yankee Stadium. But hello, weather, like I said, going to play a role in this one. $1.40 on New York at home, plus 125 on Arizona to take back, Alex.
This is a very tight. These two pitchers are very close. I think they're both very good, but maybe a little bit over their prime here. What'd you say about the weather?
Past their prime? I don't know about
No?
I don't think so.
Cold, very cold in New York today. That's the bigger thing. That wind. Right now, we're looking at about 9 miles an hour blowing in, so not negligible. But
Okay.
43 degrees. I mean, that is cold any way you slice it for a baseball game, regardless of where you're at, Alex.
I mean, still, though, the Yankees' offense, of what we have seen, I lean to over 8 here, but the cold weather definitely keeps me off of that one. D-backs did win it yesterday, 7-5. Game 2 here between these two. Nothing for me jumped out.
Zach Gallen's he's 29 years old. I think he's still got really good stuff.
feel like he's been
A lot
there
going on
forever.
here. A lot going on here to talk about this game. First, let me ask Jeff about these torpedo barrels. What he knows about that, what he's
Sure.
read about that, and what do you think about that?
What do I think? Well, look, the torpedo bat, they're just basically moving what would be the barrel of the bat closer to the handle to basically make it harder to get jammed.
Okay.
More so than anything.
So it's just a longer
They
barrel.
look ridiculous,
Yeah.
first off. But look, again, it's not just the Yankees. There are a lot of players and teams that are using these bats as well.
Yeah.
The other factor also is Aaron Judge did not swap to a torpedo bat, and Aaron Judge already has 4 homers in
Right.
the first weekend. I think it was just a lot. I think more so than anything that it was a lot of hubbub because when Michael Kay on the Yankees broadcast brought it up, it was in the midst of that game where the Yankees scored 20. So I think
And they hit 9 home runs.
and they had 9 homers, which is a franchise record for a team that's been playing baseball since 1903. So, yeah, I think we maybe overreacted a little bit. Again, all Yankee Stadium, Kenny, you know this, it's one of the best hitters ballparks ever made. The new one has been even better than the old one. So it just
4
ballpark-
left-handed pitchers.
Yeah.
The old one was great for left-hand hitters. I'm sorry,
Well,
left-handed
for
hitters.
right-handed, he had Death Valley out in left center.
Left center was
But-
Death Valley. But this ballpark, Jeff, has done well for hitters because a westerly wind, there's a wind tunnel that blows right out to right center field.
Because of the way they constructed it with the subway, so you could see the subway cart.
Right.
It created that wind tunnel.
So the wind, it created a wind tunnel, and that's out of the west. So when you mentioned the wind was blowing in today, it is an east-southeast wind, and if there was a wind tunnel there, it would be blown in, but the wind actually doesn't affect play blowing in. And wind changes directions in some of these ballparks. The old Texas ballpark, when the wind was blowing in from center field, it actually would carom off the backstop, the area in the home plate area, and blow out to right field.
Sure.
In that stadium, and you'd get a lot of home runs to right field. But in this stadium, I don't think the wind will affect play. The cold weather, I think 40, these guys are running around. I don't take anything off the total for 40 degrees, especially in the daytime. 35 degrees or less at nighttime, I'm probably going to take a full run off my total.
So this is a 7:05 local time in New York.
Okay, so we're going to be, it's going to be night, it's going to be cold. With these two pitchers, I love both guys. Rodon's 32, so I could understand you saying, Alex, that, maybe he's past his prime because we're now getting there. He's not in his prime anymore. He is past that. But this guy's got great stuff. This is a Cy Young Award pitcher in his prime. He'll never be able to do that, I don't think, again. And he never did it. Because out of college, I believe he was the number 1 pick in the draft or one of the top 5 picks in the draft. Another guy was with the White Sox. They had him too. You put those 3 pitchers on the mound. But he's a guy that could be a top 25 pitcher in Major League Baseball. He's that good. His stuff's that good. So I'm going to probably go under in this game, first 5 innings, because of those 2 pitching and the weather.
We now go to the NL side of things here today. Rubber match in Miami, Mets and Marlins. Mets defense ends up failing them yesterday, leading to 2 unearned runs that ended up being the difference. Marlins credit to them. I thought they were going to be as bad as anyone. Kenny, you had them as one of the worst power-rated teams on offense going into the year, and they're all to a really good start. They're 4-2. Granted, 3 of those wins came in walk-off fashion. They did that. Today they'll throw Connor Gillespie on the bump against opening day starter for the Mets, Clay Holmes. Huge favorites on the road, New York, here today. Minus 220 with a total of 8.5 in this one.
That's the only, I just think that's a little bit steep here. I think you're getting some value. I just don't know if I want to jump in on the Marlins and winning 2 in a row here over this Mets team. So maybe looking at the run line, plus 1.5, what are we getting with that?
Plus 1.5 on the run line with the Miami Marlins. You're getting plus 110.
All right.
If you want to take that run and a half.
That's the way I would look at playing this game.
Yeah, there's still, even though they're 4-2 start, there's still a very weak offensive team. And again, I put them in the offensive ranking with the White Sox. I don't think they're any better offensively than the White Sox are. So it's a small sample size and who they played. Now they're facing a pitcher Clay Holmes, that's a relief pitcher. He's got to start because the Mets have so many guys on the injured list that he's been elevated to a starter. He doesn't have starter stuff because he doesn't have the command to be a starter. He's a guy that, he needs better command. He's going to walk some guys. He's going to have guys all over the bases. Gillespie, too, walked 4 guys. This might be a spot where might be a decent overbet in this game, but I hate to bet a team like the Marlins and have to get runs out of them if they don't score for me. I'm like, I knew they didn't have a good offense, so I'm just going to pass this one.
Going to Philly next. This is the big barrel favorites. These three NL only games here today. Phillies with to come back in their home opener. They beat the Rockies the other day, but they now throw their ace, Zach Wheeler against Kyle Freeland. Alex, it's $3.50 on Philadelphia in this game. Pushing $3 on the Rockies. You can find $3 at some shops, plus $2.90 behind us. Total of $7 for this one. Is that price worth a small little pizza money bet, or are we just staying the heck away here?
I think I'm going to stay away from this. Especially, the Phillies 6-1. They've been kind of a slow starting team, too, in these games, and then really put it on the team later on. So I don't really trust the Rockies bullpen to keep them in this one. So nothing for me. If anything, I looking more towards the over, but I'm not going to do that with Zach Wheeler on the mound.
Yeah, I like the Phillies and their offense, but this price is just sky high. Freeland pitched great his first outing. He had strikeout stuff. He's not really a big-time strikeout pitcher. He's more of a finesse guy that, gets you to swing at a bad pitch and pop you up or ground you out. But he did strike out 7 in his first start. I don't think he strikes out 7 here. Zach Wheeler is the far better pitcher between these two guys. I just can't make a number this high, though. It's baseball, and this could be a 3-2 game, 4-3 game. So I'm just going to pass on this one too.
And then the last one, the undefeated Dodgers, who just continue to steamroll everybody. It took them a while yesterday, but they ended up winning the game. They are 7-0, which is just sick, but there they are, 7-0. And then on the opponent, the Atlanta Braves, a team that was the betting favorite to win the National League East at a lot of shops, is 0-6. Their offense is struggling. The Profar, was their big off-season acquisitions, gone for 80 games plus postseason if they were to get there. Look, it's too early to panic if you're Atlanta. Even if you manage to lose today, it's a plus 220 underdog, minus 260 on the Dodgers. But, boy, this thing could snowball pretty quickly for the Braves, and it is hard to get it. We have seen teams do it, but it is super hard to get out of a 7-game hole if you manage to get swept here in L.A., which the numbers tell you is going to happen here tonight, Alex.
And I really would like to bet this game over with how the Dodgers offense has been going, besides yesterday, which we did have 2 really good pitchers on the mound.
Yep.
But I really can't trust the Braves to help us get over this number. So nothing for me in this one. And the Dodgers have covered the run line in almost all 2, except for one against the Tigers, 5-4. So just an incredible start for them.
So Elder, no big league stats because he was sent down to AAA to start the season. He struck out 7 of the 8 batters he faced at AAA. Kid's got really good stuff. These are big league teams. It's stupid to bet against a freight train like the Dodgers. But I think it's actually worth a small bet, maybe first 5 innings. Snell did not pitch well in his first game, did not have good command. 4 walks, 2 strikeouts in that game. Braves still a good organization. They do have 3 starters out on offense. That really hurts this team when you're going up against the Dodgers. I didn't check about Freeman. Don't think he played yesterday. Not sure if he's playing today. He slipped in the shower or something.
He was out yesterday.
Yeah, slipped in the shower.
That's another fun baseball.
I don't know where, but
another fun baseball injury.
So yeah, I might take a shot on this one with the Braves in the first 5.
Braves first 5 price here in this one. Just pulling it up real quick. You're getting $2, so probably get a reasonable price on the plus half of a run as well too when you're that big of a dog in the first 5. All right.
Do we want to go over some of those first 5 unders that you liked? Between which pitching matchup you liked the most? I know it was Lively and Cease, right? And then Gallon and Rodon.
Yeah. Was
that it?
That Philadelphia one, I was thinking about that too. If Freeland could throw another game like he threw, but, that's kind of a coin flip. But Zach Wheeler, we know what we're going to get out of him, and the Rockies lineup is always, they're well below average. And then they haven't played many home games, but you'll see a huge discrepancy.
Right.
In their home and away stats. The Rocky hitters struggle on the road. So, and Wheeler's just so good. I think that could be another one. I didn't check the weather, but if you're telling me it's going to be 35, 40 degrees in New York, Philadelphia's not far away, and they do get the same weather. So it's got to be cold there tonight in Philadelphia.
Philadelphia looks like it's going to be a little bit warmer. That's the big difference. It's going to be at first pitch, going to be 53.
All right, well,
or 52. There you go. Not much of a difference. A little more windy. That's the big difference in that one in Philadelphia.
Doesn't really affect play, though, Jeff. It's more of a circular stadium, and you get swirling winds there. So it's not in or out. It's just doesn't affect offense or defense, basically.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, look at some college hoops and some NHL. When we get back, Sports by the Book here at the South Point Studio.
Where are we going?
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books, 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Jeff Parles, Alex White, Kenny White. We're all here on a Wednesday. All right, let's go to some hoops. We have some games here today. The college basketball crown in Las Vegas, the quarterfinal round gets going tonight at MGM Garden Arena. And we begin with Butler and Boise State. Butler and Utah played an extraordinarily fun game on Monday afternoon. Game went way over. Butler ended up winning as a short underdog. Boise really took them a while to get going, and then they just hammered GW, winning by 30, 89-59. Kenny, the name of this game in this tournament so far, on Monday, every single game went over. Yesterday, Cincinnati and DePaul went under by a bucket, but went over the early numbers.
Went over the early number, yeah.
Central Florida and Oregon State was a pretty comfortable under. Villanova and Colorado ended up going over everything yesterday. And Tulane and USC ended up going under basically everything because Tulane only gave you 60 points. So the question is today, as we look at this one, would Boise State a favorite against Butler in this one? Total is 154.5. Boise is 8-point favorites in this one. Have the adjustments been made properly now on these totals by the books?
Yeah, they have. They definitely have. As we talked about the NIT when that started, and it was an over machine, the paces weren't really that high in the NIT. The team shot really well. They just didn't play great defense. The paces, but this tournament, the paces have been through the roof.
Yeah.
77, 78 possessions in a lot of these games. So they're here in Vegas. They're running. I was worried about being off 2 to 3 weeks for a lot of these teams. Most of them are off 3 weeks. So I was worried about scoring early. And that did happen in a couple of these games. The scoring was really low for the first 8-10 minutes of these games, and then it started to pick up, and they really started to put it together. Now they played a game. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do if they're going to play that same type of pace, 77, 78 possessions. You could get these next 4 games, again, extremely high scoring. But sooner or later, the defense has got to take over because there's money to be won here. So These coaches are trying to win. You need to know who's in the lineups, who's not. Oregon State had 3 starters out yesterday, and they still won. Central Florida's best player didn't play. There's been several guys out. I think that Butler has a couple players out. I think that Georgetown has a couple players out, guys that transferred and that are not playing with these teams. So I think the lines have been over-adjusted a little bit on both favorites today. Boise State was bet up from 5.5 to 8.5, and Nebraska 7 to 10. Both, I think, have been over-adjusted just a little bit. But I think the totals are about right. Again, if I knew they were going to play 78 possessions, Jeff, I'd probably bet over these totals, though.
Looks like everybody is here for Boise State, if I'm not mistaken.
I think that was part of the reason that Boise was, so there were some futures numbers up. Cincinnati and Boise were the 2 favorites because first round draws were easier. GW for Boise, DePaul for Cincinnati. And they actually kept their rosters mostly intact for this tournament. Boise, all these guys, I mean, Dagenhart and company are playing their final college games. They're not going anywhere. I have no issue with any of these numbers, at least in this first game. Yeah,
Villanova. I thought they were as good as those teams.
Villanova was the 3rd favorite.
Where they
futures numbers,
but I think all of their guys are playing. Yep. I don't think I saw last night any of their starters out.
The only difference is, of course, they're without their coach. They of course let Kyle Neptune go.
Yeah,
Willard's going to take over, but Mike Nardi, who was a point guard for them in the mid 2000s, is the interim coach for this tournament. For Villanova.
That's a good thing.
The interim coach?
Yeah, because these guys know what they're doing already. They know what they're running. He's not going to change anything, and the message was probably lost, and they're going to play. They probably like Nardi, and they're going to play for him, even though they know that Willard's coming in. So they also got a coach that's coming in that they want to kind of impress as well. So I think that's kind of a good thing for Villanova.
The other game today, Kenny, anything on Nebraska and Georgetown, 9.5. Behind us with the Huskers. Georgetown won in what was a very exciting game against Wazoo late night on Monday night.
Yeah, well, I love Ed Cooley. I think he's a very good basketball coach, but I think he lost at least one starter's out for him in this tournament so far. So I still think the number's a little high. I haven't bet it yet, but I think I might end up on Georgetown here, plus this big number. My total's right there, and I added 8 points to it to get it there, but I would add more. Again, if I knew that they were going to play at a 77, 78 pace, I would add more.
He's without Sorber, who we already knew, injury. He's without Peavy. He's without Epps in these games. And it was Malik Mack who had the giant game the other night with 37 points, which shattered his season high of 26 earlier in the year against Xavier. Again, fun game. These games, whatever, they're running up and down the floor. They're fun to watch. Again, don't know how good the quality of basketball is, but hey, we don't care about the quality of basketball. We're just looking for things to bet here in the latter stages. Real quick, NIT, I know you guys will fully break this down tomorrow, but Kenny, any initial reaction to Irvine as a 3.5-point favorite against Chattanooga in the final with a total of 147?
I think that's about right. I have Irvine 2 in that game. My total in this game is going to be 138. What is the total?
The total in that game is 147.
Yeah, so they're still overinflating these totals a little bit. Both games went over yesterday, though, but both games were fortunate to go over because of good shooting and some three-point shooting. So they're not putting up high pace type numbers. The North Texas Irvine game was the exact pace I wanted, about 60 possessions in that game, and that's, I believe, what they got right around there. So they're not running like these other ones. And now it's a championship game, so I'll be betting that one under.
Real quick on thoughts for the Final Four. Again, Alex and Kenny will take you all the rest of the week. I got a wedding I got to go to this week, so I won't be here the next few days. I'll just tell you what I like right now. Again, I said it yesterday. I like the Gators to win against Auburn, but I'm not particularly strong on that. You get the rare revenge angle, where, of course, Auburn lost at home to the Gators. That's an interesting one. But I just think in March, I want the team with the best guard on the floor. Yeah. And Florida has the best guard in this game with Walter Clayton, obviously. Yeah. As good as Pettiford and those other guys aren't as good as Broome is. I lean to Florida. I think they should be the smallest of favorites like they are. I don't have anything on that game, though. I'm going to stay out of it. The second game, I was saying this to Alex earlier this morning, I want to see how high this gets. I want to see if people keep betting Duke. If this gets north of 5, this is absolutely a play on Houston for me. Could Duke beat them by 10? Of course. If Houston has a bad shooting game and Duke shoots reasonably well, this could end up being another Duke wipeout like it's seemingly been all tournament long. But this is the best team. We've talked about it going in. All three of us picked Houston to win the championship going into this. There's no reason to back down. I'm going to be on the Cougars on Saturday taking points and taking a little bit of the money line on the Cougars here in this game.
My only future ticket left is the Florida Gators.
There we go. What was the number you got on Florida?
I think it was 14-1.
Yeah. Pretty darn good.
Yeah. 14-1.
And do you want to go back and
I agree with Jeff. Walter Clayton is the best guard in this tournament right here with these teams that are left. Amazing. We got all the one seeds.
Second time that's happened.
They made it all the way through, and they dominated. They dominated to get here. I don't know what was the combined ATS record for these four teams.
Florida was the one who didn't cover. Florida only covered one game.
Is that right? Only one out of their four.
They only covered the Maryland game.
They're pretty fortunate, actually.
Yeah.
Fortunate against Tech.
Oh, that was an amazing comeback.
That was an amazing comeback. Really but those are what kind of get you a wake-up call to make sure you're focused and that doesn't happen to you again. This is being played in San Antonio in the Alamo Dome.
Yep.
Playing at a football stadium. It's at the 50-yard line, midfield. So, again, expect a little lower 2-point shooting. It doesn't affect the 3-point shooting. In championship games, it has been about a 9-point drop-off.
Okay.
From games that are not played in these buildings. So I expect a little less on the free throw line and a little less on the 2-point shooting from these teams.
I just want to ask you one question, Kenny, because going into this Final Four, these 4 teams' net ratings in KenPom, they're 4 of the 10 best teams in the KenPom era.
Yeah.
Period. That goes back to 1997. So nearly 30 years of data at this point. Just relative strength. Again, it's only the second time we've gotten all 4 number ones. I mean, this has got to be, from your power ratings perspective, as strong of a Final Four as you've seen in a very long time.
Yeah, this is the best ever.
Best ever.
Yeah, that's why, when people ask me about like the dream team of this era in the NBA, and if they were to play the dream team of Michael Jordan and his crew, what the point spread was, and I said 20. This era, and they were no way. Jordans would be the favorite. They're way better, but athletes have gotten so much better. There are 25 players in the NBA now that are as good as Michael Jordan was then, and that's what it's happened in college basketball too. These players they're just getting so good. The athletes are better and better. You mentioned it the other day about Connecticut, the last two national champions.
Yep.
All four of these teams are favorite over both of those Connecticut teams.
Yep.
Duke would be a 10-point favorite over either one of them.
Oh, boy.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
The Duke's the highest rated team I've ever had in my life in any for college basketball for a season by far. And then you have. If Duke we weren't talking about them, I'd say the Florida Gators are the highest rated team I've ever had. And then I would say, well, Houston and Auburn are right there with the greatest teams of all time.
That's crazy. Wow.
That's how good these teams are.
Wow. By the way, one other note real quick that I forgot to mention earlier in the week. The other number one seed Final Four was in 2008. The lowest rated team going in was Kansas. They won the championship. They beat North Carolina. And then, of course, we remember the frantic comeback at the end of regulation. Chalmers hit that 3-4 overtime, and they beat Derrick Rose and Chris Douglas Roberts of Memphis in the championship. That was also played in San Antonio.
Yep.
So something about San Antonio here, Alex, with that.
I want to know your Houston Duke number. Did you make that already?
I made Duke 5.5.
5.5. Okay.
That's right on it then.
But I don't mind Houston. I'm rooting for Houston. I would rather see Sampson win a title. I like him as a head coach, and Shire's already shown he can recruit, and he can recruit players to fit his style of play. You can see it, and he is going to bring Duke back to the prominence of Coach K. He's going to have a top 5 team every year.
I also wanted to ask if you wanted us to go back and clip last week's show when we showed our brackets, and you said, Alex said I have all chalk, so I had to change it. Because you literally had all 4 1 seeds. And I was like, that hasn't happened in how long?
2008.
Yep.
Yeah, 17 years.
There we go.
The only time.
Real quick, Kenny, I just want to ask you on the women's side of things, because the Final Four is Friday and the championship Sunday. And you get the All-SEC matchup, which will be the rubber match between South Carolina and Texas. Both teams won at home during the regular season. South Carolina really has not been overly impressive in this run to the Final Four. I thought they're pretty fortunate to beat Maryland in the round of 16. Just not enough offense for Duke in order to win that game, and that game was tight in the Elite Eight. Texas had to play that wild style that Tennessee women's play, where they basically do a hockey change every 90 seconds.
Yeah.
And then they beat TCU, who shocked Notre Dame in the round of 16. It's 5 right now in total, 125. I'm just curious where your numbers are right now on that game.
I made South Carolina 2.5.
So would that be good enough to take the 5 with Texas?
Yes. And that's, the last time they played, South Carolina laid it on. Now, Texas, when they beat South Carolina, they ended the Gamecocks' huge winning streak, whatever the winning streak was. I think it was a conference winning streak that they ended,
yes.
like a 62-game conference winning streak.
Mm-hmm.
So South Carolina had a bubble burst. They lost their next game after that game, and then John Staley got their attention, and they played much better basketball. But you're right, here in the tournament, they're not the same overpowering South Carolina team we've seen win the national championship. They don't have that star player, I don't think, that can step up and win games where Texas does. Madison Booker's the real deal. She's one of the best players in college basketball. Texas plays great defense. It's going to be a really low-scoring game, and I think points will be at a premium, and this is going to be a war in this game. South Carolina got their revenge already, and they won big. They put a beat down on Texas, and usually when that happens, It comes back the other way, and it's going to – I think this game's going to be a very tight game. You mentioned TCU. They beat me with Notre Dame. I couldn't believe it. Laid 5.5. The game went to 8.5. I thought it was a great bet. But again, I say 25% of games are all fluke outcomes. And some people say it wasn't a fluke. It might have been a matchup problem. TCU has a 6'7" gal, and Notre Dame really didn't have an answer for her. But when your star player scores 8 points and she averages 25 a game and she couldn't hit a shot, that's a problem. Anytime your star player doesn't show up and doesn't have a game like she's supposed to, you could take a loss. Well, TCU, after that big win, beat Notre Dame, they played, a so-so game against Texas. They didn't play as good against Texas. But we're down to the Final Four. We got 4 really good teams, and this one's going to be a battle, Texas, South Carolina.
Sounded like Alabama and with their shot against
again,
Duke.
yeah, Mark Sears, what did he have? He had a horrendous game. And that came off a 10 3-point game, and that's what happens in all sports. When you have that great game, you start to read the press clippings a little bit, and you start to think you're that good, and you start to think that can happen every night, and then you're brought back down to earth with a 1 for 12 shooting night.
You also start to think about your mechanics too much, right? And overthink, okay, what did I do? How exactly did I do it?
When you start to think, that's not a good thing for athletes.
Exactly. Yeah, you're right.
Just go play. When you start to think about anything that, it's not good.
And in the other game, UCLA and Connecticut, the 2 seed, Connecticut, is an 8-point favorite against the number one overall seed by the committee. I'm just curious, Kenny, because you have Beckers on the Connecticut side, you have Betts, who is the most dominant interior player in women's college basketball on the UCLA side. I just wonder if UConn actually will struggle with Betts. This kind of feels like a lot to be getting with UCLA, not just looking at the seed line. It just, this UCLA team, they beat everyone except for USC basically this year.
They did get the revenge on USC, though. After losing the 2, they won in the Big Ten title game. And they've got a really good basketball team, UCLA, obviously. Connecticut, though, is the better team. They are the better team. How much better? My number, I made them 7.5 in this game. So
close.
And I don't have a play there, but I really like Paige Beckers. Watching her play, she kind of reminds me of Cooper Flagg. She really does. She's a senior, though, or a fifth-year senior maybe. But she can really play. And then Sarah Strong, their center, she's a freshman. She just set the school record for double-doubles. As a freshman, she's doing things that Maya Moore did.
I was going to say, you got a pretty nice history there. You got women's basketball if you're doing that as a freshman.
Yes. So they have the athletes, and they've got a really good starting 5. I think, again, this could come down to some lockdown defense in this game as well.
UConn has won all their games by double digits in this tournament. Again, we'll never know what USC would have been if Watkins had stayed healthy, but they took full advantage of that. They were actually losing at halftime to Oklahoma and ended up winning by 23, as crazy as that is in that one. All right, before we get out of here, hockey. Let's get some hockey here on a Wednesday. Alex, you got 3 games you like here today, including the game that was on the thumbnail.
Yeah.
The Hurricanes and the Capitals. Minus 210 on Carolina here at the South Point. You can get as good as plus 190 in the market on this game. Total 5.5 and 6. So shop around on some prices here in this game.
Of course, I do think Carolina should be the favorite at home. Very good team here. I just think this number is too big. So my number would be closer to getting plus 160 with the Capitals. I can get plus 190 at some shops. That's the best number. So I am going to jump in here. Now, Washington is on it back-to-back, but the thing is Logan Thompson is playing tonight. So you're getting the better goalie here with a team who is trying to get that overall number 1 spot and is also chasing something with Ovechkin. He is 4 away now. So I like this spot for the Capitals and that price especially. And then I got 2 overs. One of them made the board, and then one of them is a strong lean.
At Colorado and Chicago, we can go there first, Alex.
Yes, and that is definitely an over here at 6.5. My number is a lot higher on this one. It is going to be Wedgwood for I'm gonna have to double check that. I have Blackwood over last night, but looking at it today, I believe it is Wedgwood, which helps my over even more because he is the backup goalie there for Colorado. Both these teams have been scoring. I mean, Chicago's really just kind of playing a lot of offense here, not a lot of defense. And I thought Spencer Knight was going to be a bigger difference for them, but it's taken some time. So basically a number play on this one, over 6.5.
And then going north of the border, that little rivalry in the Pacific Northwest, Seattle and Vancouver, total 5.5 on this one.
And Vancouver's median numbers at home is higher than they are on the road, so that leads me to an over here. I'm not that confident, more of a lean. I'm worried about Demko still coming back. He has been better than I've given him credit for, thinking that it's going to take him some time, but we've seen him actually do very well. These games, though, between these two this year, 5-4, Kraken 1, 4-3, Canucks 1, and then 6-3. So they have been very high-scoring games between these two.
All right, let's take a quick break. When we get back, we'll reveal the trivia answer, and we'll get the whiteboards as well here on a Wednesday, Sports by the Book, South Point Studio.
If you're celebrating a special occasion or just love fine dining, you're in the right place. Come experience the crown jewel of South Point restaurants, Michael's Gourmet Room.
Welcome.
With over 600 different types of wines and magnificent dishes prepared tableside, you'll revel in the rich classic Vegas decor and the best black tie service in the world. This intimate gourmet room has earned accolades galore. Come to Michael's Gourmet Room for an unforgettable dining experience. Another famous restaurant is the Silverado Steakhouse, where you'll find the charm and service that discerning patrons require. From top quality steaks and chops to fresh seafood and desserts, you'll love the award-winning wine list and menu at Silverado Steakhouse. Steak lovers have even more options with primarily prime rib. Catering to hearty appetites, the menu features a variety of flavorful prime rib cuts, dry-aged to ensure tenderness, and then seasoned and slowly roasted. Although prime rib is our specialty, it's not the only thing on the menu. There's something for everyone. And if you're craving a taste of Italy, come experience delicious Italian cuisine and the attentive service at Don Vito's. Our culinary team starts with the freshest ingredients and transforms them into traditional favorites. And don't forget Italian desserts. Don Vito's. Savor the taste of Italy. Finally, if sushi is more your style, join us at the popular Zenshin Asian restaurant and sushi bar, where we're serving up the freshest sashimi, nigiri, and sushi rolls. And beyond the sushi, an exciting contemporary Asian cuisine menu, plus a variety of specialty drinks, Japanese and domestic beer, wine, and sake. Balance your hunger with Zenshin.
Welcome back in Sports by the Book here on a Monday. Alex and Kenny have you covered the rest of the week. Of course, the bookmakers will be here with Alex on Friday as well,
yes.
So be on the lookout for that. And then we're all here on Monday previewing the national title game, which Alex just said hopefully it's Houston and Auburn, right? That's what you said?
That is what I said. It might not be the best game.
I'll be rooting for Florida.
Sorry, Florida. I'm so sorry. I was thinking the easier path for Houston, but you're right. Let's go Florida.
Yeah, I would like to see Houston. I think Houston-Florida would be the better game. Remember, we already said the weird caveat with this Final Four. The Auburn Tigers have played every other team that is there.
Oh.
They lost to Florida. They beat Houston in the city of Houston.
Overtime game, wasn't it?
In an overtime game opening night. And, of course, went to Cameron Indoor and lost to Duke early in the year as well. So,
wow.
That's a rarity as well. That doesn't happen very often, especially when there's only one conference with two teams or more in it. All right, trivia. Who are the only two people to participate in both an NCAA men's Final Four and a MLB World Series? Kenny, who's the one that you knew?
Danny Ainge.
That is incorrect.
Really?
Yeah, that is incorrect.
Wow.
Never made the Final Four at BYU.
Holy cow.
And the answer is the one that I thought you were going to get was Kenny Lofton. Who was in the Final Four with Arizona.
With the Wildcats.
And then, of course, made the World Series with Cleveland in San Francisco. Of course, Lofton never won the World Series. And then the other one was Tim Stoddard, which I don't think any of us were getting.
Boy,
was on
a pitcher.
Yeah, was a pitcher. Was in the 1974 national champion NC State Wolfpack, and then of course was a pitcher and appeared with the Orioles in the World Series. So there you go.
Wow.
I know the star player for NC State that year.
Oh, well, David Thompson.
There you go.
Yeah, one of the best scorers.
Had a 48-inch leap in the 70s. Was unheard of.
Unbelievable. Well, it was him and George Gervin had the insane scoring race, right?
Yes, they did. Yeah. On the last day of the season that they both scored in the 70, 80 points.
Craziness.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go to the whiteboards. Kenny, we will start with you here today on a Wednesday.
I'm just going to do baseball. 3 games in baseball, all first 5 inning games. Usually I don't go under 3.5, but with Wheeler on the mound for the Phillies, and I don't like the Colorado bats, and I do like Freeman. I went under 3.5 there. Philadelphia, Colorado. Padres, I'll take the plus $2 in a 5-inning battle. In the Cleveland-San Diego game, nice number, pitcher's ballpark. It's only going to be 60 degrees there today, under 4.5 with Cleveland and San Diego.
Okay, I've got 3. I've got 2 hockey, and then I'm going 1 baseball here. So I told you Capitals, they are on the road against the Carolina Hurricanes, but I like that we have Logan Thompson. I'm going over in the Avs and the Blackhawks, over 6.5. And then the Red Sox, Crochet on the mound. I'm going minus 115 against the Orioles.
By the way, JR got the trivia question right, but had to look up Stoddard. Again, I don't think anyone, unless if you're like a big diehard NC State fan, I don't think you're getting that, in all honesty. And Lofton, when Ryan asked me this question, I did get Lofton right away.
I thought for sure it was Danny Ainge. I thought I remember him leading BYU to the Final Four, but maybe not. Maybe he got to the Elite Eight.
It was the Elite Eight. BYU has never made the Final Four.
I think he took a rebound and he went coast to coast to beat Notre Dame, a layup at the buzzer.
Wow.
But if you would have given me the guy in the 70s and you would have told me his last name was STO, I still wouldn't have gotten that one.
No chance. No chance. You might have actually been able to give you the first name and you still wouldn't have gotten the last name. True. On that. So, JR, got Kenny Lofton, looked up Stoddard. Boy, Kenny Lofton, for a guy who fell off the Hall of Fame ballot way too early, what an amazing player Kenny Lofton was.
Yeah. Really was.
Really,
I forgot he was a basketball player.
Yeah, Arizona.
But when you said his name, I knew right away he played at Arizona.
Yep, 1988. Yeah. It was him and Steve Kerr were on that team.
Wow.
In 1988. Shout out to Ryan on that note.
Lute Olson.
In the chat. Yep, Lute, great coach. So, all right, that's all we got today. Alex and Kenny are back tomorrow, same time, same place, 10 a.m. right here on the Sports by the Book channel on YouTube. They'll get you ready for everything in Thursday. Crown, NIT final, larger hockey card, plenty to get to tomorrow at 10 a.m. right here on the Sports by the Book channel. We'll see you again then. Sports by the Book, South Point Studio. Shout out Ryan and Sean as well.